Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. And on today's episode, I'm joined by Sophie from Go- Gossip Gooner TV. So how you doing today, Soph?
I'm really good. Thank you so much for having me on your amazing channel. I love all your interviews that you've done. I've been checking it out. You're doing a great job, but I'm just happy to chat with you today.
I appreciate that. So how was your day as a whole?
What do you say?
I said, how was your day?
It's been really good, thank you. I've been pretty busy today with college, but I've been looking forward to this video. How's your day been?
It's been good, thank you. I haven't really done very much today, but it's been good.
Sometimes you just need one of those days where you just chill, don't you?
Yeah. So, 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 for any of my audience that might not know who you are, would you mind explaining a bit about your channel and exactly what you post on your channel?
Of course. So yeah, like you mentioned, I do have a channel, Gooner Gossip TV, and I do a lot of Arsenal stuff. I do like previews, reviews of the game. I also have I've had some good guests on. I've had Laura Woods on. You've spoke to Laura as well. She's lovely, isn't she?
Yeah.
So I've had her on. I just interview, people that can get on. But yeah, I'm a big Arsenal fan, so I do a lot of stuff like that. But if Arsenal play a different team, I'll get their fans on to speak to them. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do to those that might not know me and to those that are new to this.
So if we take this back, how did you get to start? How did you start watching football, and how did you start supporting Arsenal?
That's a good question actually, because well, growing up, my family all, my dad, my brother, they all love football, and I love playing football with them as a kid. But obviously, I don't really have a London accent, so I live up north, and they like Liverpool, and Liverpool were just never for me. They were just not my cup of tea. So, I watched Arsenal one day, and yeah, I basically fell in love with the team, like with Wenger. I just loved everything about Arsenal. So yeah, I've been an Arsenal fan for about 10 years now. Hopefully, we'll win something soon. But yeah, that's pretty much my story.
To be, to be honest, you might me feel quite old.
How old are you?
Uh, I am 28 years old.
Oh, you're not that old. You're still young.
So, 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 so as you mentioned, you fell in love with obviously you fell in love with the manager or
Yeah.
something. Obviously, I assume it was the style of play. So, what was the player in particular that really stood out to you at the time?
Yeah, obviously, like I said, Wenger was a great manager, but obviously, like you said, Arsenal have a really good style of play. And for me, I love players like Özil, Sanchez, and they for me were just so amazing to watch. I mean, at the time, we were quite close to winning the league, so it was a good time to be an Arsenal fan. We didn't make it, we didn't get over the line, but um. Yeah, I think Sanchez for me was my hero growing up. I think he was such a joy to watch. But yeah, there was quite a few players I love watching because I think at the time we played such beautiful football. But I think if I had to pick a few, I'd probably go Sanchez, Giroud, Özil. They were my favourites.
So, so, so we, so as we've just mentioned, we discussed how you got into Arsenal and but how long was the transition from supporting like the men's team to supporting the women's team? Was it at the same time, or was there a bit of a gap?
Yeah, obviously, like you said, I do support the women's team a lot. I did watch the men's first, because women's football wasn't as popular. as it is now. But yeah, so I started supporting Arsenal. I watched the men's in about 2015, and then in 2018, I started watching Arsenal women then. So I've just that's how kind of got into it because women's football's televised now. You see it on TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably say the men's first, and then I managed to watch the women's, and yeah, that's sort of how it's gone.
So, so like, your history as a fan, what was the one result where, where you thought, are we ever gonna get back up to the top?
Yeah, there's been a few times. I mean, I know with Arsenal in recent years, we've had some difficult times, especially when Arteta first came. But I think, there has been obviously a lot of tough times, when we got knocked out of the cups and stuff. But I think, I don't have a specific one to pick where I felt like we were getting back there. But yeah, I think, with Wenger as well, we've had some good times with him. But yeah, I think for me, under Wenger, I remember we played Leicester and we won 2-1, and I remember thinking like us being back to the top again. So I'd probably go with that one, but a really good question to ask me actually.
So, as you mentioned earlier, you started really getting into it around 2015. So, have you gone back? Yeah. Have you watched stuff like the Invincibles or like the United teams, or has that not really interested you?
Yeah, of course I've watched it back, and I just wish I was born a bit earlier when when we've been so good because I've never really seen us achieve league titles because I've seen us win FA Cups, which I absolutely love, and I think FA Cups are amazing. As a fan, you want to win all the trophies, but yeah, the Invincibles really inspired me, and definitely inspire Arsenal now. But yeah, they were an incredible side. I just wish I could have experienced that, especially at Highbury. But it's a big part of our history that I'm proud of.
But so obviously toward the end of Arsene Wenger's reign or tendency there, though it was very depressing, let's say that. So looking back on that time now, what was what was your opinion at the time, and looking back on it now, how do you feel about that time? Do you think it was fair, some of the criticism, or do you think it was a bit harsh?
Yeah, that's a good and fair question. I think at the time, like I remember it a lot. I think everyone's entitled to their opinion. And when I supported Arsenal, I didn't know, like you said, with the Invincibles, I didn't know how long Arsene Wenger was here for. But I do very much think you should support your manager through the good and bad times. But I also think it's good to voice your opinion. Like if you're not happy with a situation, you should say how you feel. I think it's obviously hard because sometimes you do need to change in managers. But I don't think I could ever be like Arteta out, Wenger out. I could never say those words because I think you've really got to support the team. But I think, when you get interviewed after a game, you can be a little bit heated. You might say things you wouldn't really say if you weren't feeling emotional. And I think as fans, we've all probably said stuff, we probably wish we hadn't have said. So I think a lot of interviews, people might regret what they've said. But I do think Wenger had to move on. I think it was a time where we needed a change at the club. But I get I understand both sides to it because I think for Wenger, he was under a lot of pressure. It must have been really hard for him, people asking him, question him as a job, him and as a manager. I know it was difficult for him. So yeah, I get both arguments and it was hard to listen to at times because I obviously loved Wenger. But yeah, I think it's good now that we're in a good place with the Arsenal fans and we're all together.
And obviously, if you grown up with the Invincibles, obviously in the better times, you're obviously going to be a lot more critical
Yeah.
than, than I if you weren't growing up in them times. So yeah, as you say. everybody's entitled to their opinion, and everybody's story is different.
Yeah, definitely.
So moving on to current day stuff. You've had a pretty strong season so far. What do you think the difference is between this season and last season? Like, do you think there's been one signing that really elevated you, or do you think the team had just gelled a lot more this season?
Yeah, I think that's a good question to ask because I know last season we were up there in the title race, and a lot of people probably didn't think we would be. And this season, obviously, we started off a bit slow. We've kind of got back into things, and we just can't stop scoring at the moment. Like I'm thinking, when is this going to end? How good we've been. But like you mentioned, I think Declan Rice for me has elevated this Arsenal team. I
Yeah,
think. I think, I'm just enjoying what we're seeing. And I suppose if you're not an Arsenal fan, you'll probably still enjoy watching him because he just plays such great football and he's starting to score more and more goals. And yeah, I think even though he costs a lot of money, I think he's been a really good signing for us. I think, I feel really happy with him and what he's done, the progress he's helped this Arsenal side. Like, he really helps the likes of Ben White, Saliba. So, I think the title race is obviously getting is heating up now. It's hard to kind of call who can win the league. I think for me, it's getting exciting. But this season, I think obviously we don't have Xhaka anymore. We've changed that. We've brought Havertz in. I think he's growing as well and becoming much better and starting to provide for the team by scoring goals. But yeah, I do have a question for you though. Out of Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal, who do you think can win the league? Because I honestly don't know right now.
my my honest opinion, I think Arsenal would just fall away. To be honest, I think
Yeah,
against I don't say this against the team at the bottom of the table. I think obviously as we've seen recently, you can put them games away quite comfortably, but
yeah,
against teams like Spurs and against the teams high, at the higher end of the table, you tend to struggle
yeah,
to
I agree.
break teams down. So,
Yeah.
so in my opinion, it's a two-horse race between obviously Man City and Liverpool.
Yeah, I think it's going to be difficult. I think because Arsenal have got Man City to play at the end of March. I think it's going to be really tough to beat them. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens and see who wins the league.
Because if you look at your last Champions League game here, when you have a team that set up well, yeah, I think it's struggle to break them down.
Yeah. Yeah, I think in the Champions League, obviously, it is a very tough time to be in there, and there are some great teams. I know we played Porto recently, and
Yeah.
we just didn't perform good enough and we deserve to lose that game. I know we do play them at the Emirates, so we've got to win that. I mean, it's great to see Arsenal back in the Champions League because it's been so long since we've been in the Champions League. But it's good to see that we're competing. But I think if we got knocked out now, would be very disappointed because I just think we can at least get to the quarterfinals or semi-finals. So I think we just got to see how it goes, really.
Uh, just had a bit of background, you're seeing though. I follow Aston Villa. I wouldn't say I support them necessarily, but I follow them because my family support them. So I always like them to do well. And this season, we're pretty much neck and neck in terms of our forms.
I love that. I definitely think Villa have improved a lot this season. I think Unai Emery has done a fantastic job, and yeah, I think you can get top four. I think you can. I hope you get it above Spurs. I don't want Spurs getting in the top four, so you guys better do it over them.
So now moving on to your content. So what was the inspiration for you to start making content? Because I know it's not easy, does it, to get the courage to come on
Yeah.
camera and start speaking about anything, let alone football.
Yeah, I think for me, like I started my channel about 3 years ago, and obviously, like I mentioned before, my family, like Liverpool, and I just felt like I wanted just to have like when Arsenal played games, if they lost, if they won, I just wanted to, get off my chest about how I was feeling. And I just did it off passion and as a hobby because obviously I love Arsenal, I'm very passionate about Arsenal. So I saw it as a passion. I started doing that. I think what inspired me, obviously, there are channels out there like AFTV, there's a few others now. I saw a lot of people do it, and I just thought, why not give it a go? Why not? Like, I didn't have much to lose by making my own channel, so um, yeah, I just thought I'd give it a go. I've been doing it for 3 years now, and I think the more you do it, the more you kind of get into it. But there are really some amazing YouTubers out there, and I think it's quite easy just to speak in front of a camera because no one's really there to judge you. And I think it's also really good to do interviews, getting to know people because I do love to chat with people. So I think, it's been good over time doing it as well. But yeah, I'm just really loving it. I think if you can make a YouTube channel, I think you should because I think it's so much fun and it's just good to talk about something that you love.
How did you come up with the name Gossip Gooner?
That is a good question because I remember when I made my channel, I was saying to my dad and brother, what could I call my YouTube channel? Like, I just had no idea. And I think they helped me with the name, and they know I love a bit of gossip and I'm a gooner, so it just felt like the right name. But that's the hardest thing probably about making a channel is thinking of a catchy name to pick because I just couldn't decide. It was quite hard to find a name, but I feel like it really suits me. So yeah, I'm happy with that.
Uh, as the people obviously know, I couldn't come up with the original name, so I just called it my name. I know
Yeah,
it's not,
that's probably good.
I know it's not very creative, but you get what you get.
Sometimes you just need to put your name as it. I mean, yeah, it is people, for me, I wanted to do something away from my personal life, so people probably didn't know where to find me. Um, but I think it's quite good to, use your name because then people know that's you. But yeah, it can be hard to find a name, but I think if you can use your name, it's probably good so people know you.
Right? So, so I so who were your inspiration? I can never guess who were your inspiration, but who actually were they?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I've got quite a few, obviously. I think for me, growing up watching, pundits on, talk about Arsenal or just talk about football. I think Alex Scott for me has been one of the best at what she does. Like I've mentioned before, I think Laura Woods is up there as well. So I think regarding that, I think them two are definitely up there. Because I think when you see other people talk about something, it gives you that confidence to do it yourself. So I would go with them definitely because they definitely have influenced me a lot during my time talking about Arsenal, talking about football. So, yeah, but as I said, there's quite a few more you can bring up. But yeah, I think they've probably helped me the most during doing YouTube. They give me that confidence to just be myself.
I know you mentioned earlier that you enjoy talking to people, yeah. But obviously there's a difference between doing a solo video and doing an interview like we're doing now, yeah. So when you first started doing interviews, yeah, was there any hesitation on your part or were you pretty much uh, unconfident?
When I first did videos with people, like I remember I used to do a lot of like solo videos, like you mentioned, and For me, I would get really anxious before I was doing a video with someone. And I think looking back, it's completely normal because if you don't interview people often, you will get more anxious. I think the more you do it, the more you'll manage your nerves. I think it's okay to be nervous because I think we all get nervous sometimes. But I think there's a lot of work that goes into YouTube, like you'll know that people won't realise if they don't do YouTube. But yeah, I think it's good to do both type of videos, but I think interviewing, yeah, it can be a bit nerve-wracking at first, to make sure you don't say the wrong things or to make sure you know what you're saying. But I think when you do it more and more, you'll get that confidence, and your nerves will go away after a while.
Just, just from my perspective, just to let the people know, yeah, when I'm doing interviews, yeah, because obviously when you're doing solo videos, if you make a mistake or if I start stammering, I can just reshoot it. But obviously, if you're doing an interview, you have to do it in one take. So it's about finding your voice as a one take before, not perform, but you know what I mean, like one take sort of
Yeah, you
things.
can't change it. Yeah, you've got to make sure you don't make too many mistakes. I know what you mean. I get that as well.
That so eh, that so when it comes to reaching out to people, how would that for you at first? Were you like, nah, they're not gonna respond? Were you just like, I'm gonna give it a go?
I think you've got to give it a go because I think if you don't ever ask, you won't know. Like I know, for me, I ask people if they'd like to, if I could interview them. Obviously, some will get back to me, and some, are quite busy, so I expect that. But I think you've got to go for it by asking people because I think you've only got one life, and you could do something amazing with your channel, and get some great opportunities. So. I think it's just really good to go for it. I think it's hard if people say no to you because you might feel a bit embarrassed by it, but I think you've got to just go for it, haven't you, really? Because I know you ask people and some will get back, some won't, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Um,
don't mean to cut your carry on.
no, that was all I was saying, don't worry.
All I was gonna say was it's not like it's the end of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that big of a deal if people don't get back to you, or if they just don't want to do it, then it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I think, if you ask and you get a good response, it's really positive and it's something to be happy about. But if you don't, it doesn't mean they won't ever respond to you. They just might be quite busy. So, like I
Yeah.
said, it's not the end of the world.
The what the biggest compliment you ever got for your content?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm quite lucky to have a lot of kind feedback of people. I think for me, because there's obviously more women presenters out there, and it's more popular for women to speak about football. I think when people just compliment me for my work and know that I'm doing my best, and they might say you're doing a great job. I think, when people say to me, you could be like Laura Woods one day, I think it's a really nice compliment because I think there are amazing people out there doing their best to inspire other people. So I think it's nice when people compliment your work. I mean, I had a really strange compliment the other day, I must say. I didn't know if it was an insult or a compliment, and someone said something like you've got a lovely shaped face, and I just thought, like, what do I say to that? Like, is it a good thing? Because it's weird one because I suppose they're being nice, but I didn't know how to take that.
That's I'm not gonna lie, that's ironically creepy. I would be careful.
Yeah, it felt a bit weird because I think they could have said something about what I was talking about, and instead they just they just commented on what I look like, so it was a bit creepy.
I would yeah, I would just leave them a comment. I wouldn't
Yeah.
respond. to them, I wouldn't do anything. I would just leave them.
Yeah, definitely. I think I will because it was a little bit weird.
So I don't know how to really word it well. So it's obviously, when you're talking about football, when you're talking about football, yeah, getting your analysis and things like that. I I d- I how do how do you deal with the criticism, and how do you deal with the hate that you get? Because
Yeah.
I can imagine you must get quite you must get a fair bit.
Yeah, I think since I've been on Twitter, I have got hate. I think you've got to learn with this is that the more people you interview, the more success you get. Not everyone will be happy for you. And I think you've got to take it as a pinch of salt and it's not personal. I think if someone's unhappy in themselves or in their own life, they'll try to bring you down. So I think, when I first started, it was difficult to manage because I hadn't, I just, it was hard to process. It's not nice. Like, you can get so many nice comments, but if you get one mean one, you'll
Yeah,
notice it.
y-
It is hard to ignore. But I think you've just got to really focus on people that care about you, the people that support you, your friends, your family, the people you meet. But it's not nice to deal with. I think sometimes you should, stand up to the trolls, because I think they shouldn't get away with it. But yeah, I think with criticism, I don't mind, people giving me a bit of that because, I know I'm no expert. I'm happy to learn along the way, and to learn. I like to hear what people have to say. But I think with trolls, it's a bit different. I think it can be a lot to deal with. I know a lot of people go through dealing with trolls. It can affect how you feel. So yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it,
yeah,
really?
yeah. Did somebody give you advice, or was it a case you had to learn as you went along? How I don't know how to deal with it, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think obviously a lot of people give me advice online, a lot of people tell me to ignore it. But sometimes I ignore it, but then other times I think if someone's kind of discriminating you or abusing you, I think
Yeah,
there has to be a point where you stand up and report them. I mean, I do it because I think you should be reported. I mean, last night I did get a bit of I got some horrible messages, and I just thought, I better just report them because they're not nice and their account got taken down. But I think not taking it personally, you've got to do that. I think it's hard. It's nice when people say nice things. So I think you've got to try and focus on the good people that are supporting you.
um, I'm I'm sorry to hear that. It's not obviously that's not nice, and I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I know it's not nice, but you know, it happens, doesn't it, to a lot of people?
I but I also that it doesn't make it right. But I also think if you're gonna put yourself out there, unfortunately, to a
Yeah.
degree that's just something that you have to. I don't want to say accept that you have to realise that gonna be like it's unfortunately gonna be a part of the it's gonna be a part of the community if you
Yeah,
know what I mean.
yeah, I agree. I think I think when you put yourself out there, you do have to take on board people. Not everyone's gonna like you. Not everyone will have nice things to say. But I think, like you said before, I think you've just got to ignore some of them, block them, and just try and move on. And just know that they're hiding behind the screen saying these things. So it says a lot about them.
So you mentioned at the start, yeah, like like, like so, so do you obviously making content, yeah. I do people in the everyday life react when you tell them are they like supportive or are they like are they like curious about it, or do they not really understand what you do?
Yeah, I've been, I've been quite lucky because I think with my channel, I do live streams as well, so it's good to interact with people. So I have gotten a lot of support recently as well, and overall, it's hard though. In the past, I've obviously done live streams before, and people have, not said nice things. And I think what I've learned with that is you've just got to block them because they're saying mean things, so you can give them that attention. But I have been quite lucky, because I know not everyone has such a everyone's experience with their own channel can be different. But yeah, I think you've just got to ignore it. But I've been quite lucky. I've had a few mean comments, a few sexist ones, but I think you've just got to laugh at them, and I think they are quite pathetic. But I think yeah, I think you've just got to look at the positive people and block out the negatives.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, you like your everyday life, like your friends, your family,
Yeah.
whatever. What was it? How do they react to your content? Are they like, do they understand what you do, or are they curious, or are they like,
Yeah.
why do you do, why do you do that for? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think YouTube now is very much popular. It's a lot more, a lot of people do it. So I think, it's quite, my family quite understand that I love doing that. Um, they've been very supportive actually. Obviously some people in my family, don't know a lot about football, but they're just happy that, I'm doing something that I enjoy. I'm, meeting some incredible people on here. So yeah, they're very happy for me, which is really nice. They've always been supportive of what I've done. Obviously, I did start my channel when I was about 15, so looking back, I was very young, and it's hard, dealing with those, some comments in that time. But I think now I'm a lot older, it's obviously, much better place for me to be. But I've been very fortunate to have such a good support of people because I know not everyone has that. But yeah, my family have always been happy for me, really.
That's good to hear. So,
Yeah, it's nice.
so, so as we start wrapping it up, I have a couple more questions. So, so, so when it comes to football content in particular, how do you think it will evolve over the next couple of years?
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, I know a lot of people I think football YouTube is quite popular. Like, if you look at Arsenal fans that do YouTube, there's thousands out there. There's so many. Um, so I think I think even more people are going to do it. I think a lot of people do the same thing, and I think it's good to kind of be unique, think of your own ideas. So I think I hope to see more people do those sort of things. But yeah, I think in time it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I mean, I think a lot of people like doing the same things. I mean, I love doing like watch-alongs. For the women's games, I love doing live streams after. But I suppose, in a few years' time, it's going to be interesting to see if the same things will happen or if anything else will change, football creating ideas. But yeah, I find it all really interesting to see how everyone does their own channel. And I think, just being yourself is the best way to be.
So, as my penultimate question would interest like so where do you think Arsenal finished both men and the women's?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the women this season, obviously we're sitting third at the moment. We're a point behind both Chelsea and Man City. Actually, we're 3 points, I think. But we do play Chelsea and Man City again, so we could beat them. I reckon we're probably going to get third. I think realistically we'll get into the Champions League next season and hopefully win the league then. But I just don't know if we have enough because obviously it's Emma Hayes' last season. So
Yeah,
with that, I'll go there for the men's team. It's a tough one because I think we can do it. I mean, I think at the moment I'm optimistic that we've got a good chance, but I think Liverpool, I just don't think they'll lose. I know they've got Man City at the weekend, so that'll be a good one. But I think Liverpool are probably at the moment probably the best team. You know, it's theirs to lose, isn't it? They're the team that are doing really good. So I think it's probably up to them at the moment.
and obviously, as you mentioned, with MA, because it's because it's both uh, because it's both MA and Jurgen Klopp last season at the clubs.
Yeah.
That gonna give them an, an extra boost, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think if it's the managers last season as a player, that'll probably give you more motivation and you'll want to win, you know, for them in their
Yeah.
last season so they can just go off in a positive way.
So my last and final question: if you had to pick one video or one interview you can pick, what 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 would you say to leader the what would you say embodies your work so far? Like what video are you most proud of?
Oh, that's a really, really good question. You know what, I've been lucky, there's been quite a few. I did a video with Kevin Campbell. I think it might have been about a year ago, and I just remember feeling, you know, so honoured to it of him to have taken this time out of his day to chat with me. It was such like an honour, and I just felt so grateful. I've had so many amazing guests. I've had Shaban, who does Talksport, Laura Woods. I've had, you know, Nicole Holiday, who works at Arsenal. I mean, I think for me, I do also love the pre-recorded videos. It's nice to just chat with people that are watching your streams as well. But I'd love to know what you would pick. What's your most proudest moment of your videos? Because I know you've done some great videos of people.
Well, that that's a tough one in in terms of interviews because I'm gonna say this just because it was my first ever interview. The Law Woods interview. It's probably the interview it's probably the interview that I always go back to. Because as I said, it was my first ever interview, and that's always gonna be the benchmark.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great interview. I enjoyed that. And a lot of people liked it as well. So, yeah, I think, you know, the fact you've had her on, I think you can get even more good people on. And yeah, it must have been amazing to chat with her as well.
To, to, I'm not just saying I'm not just saying it just because we're talking now, but I got to be honest. This has been one of my best interviews I've ever done, to be honest. Just in the way that I verbally come across, and just the way the interview flowed. I feel like this is my best ever interview. So
Oh, that's lovely. I think you're really amazing at what you do. I think you're a great interviewer. I've really enjoyed coming on here, and you'll have to come on my channel soon. I'd love to have you on and chat with you if you'd ever want to come on.
yeah, I would love to. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, you're very welcome, and I hope you can keep up your good work because you're doing an amazing job.
Uh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So as so as so so before I start doing the outro, would you like to promote your channels or your social medias as a whole?
Okay, thank you so much. Like I said, it's been lovely to chat with you today. I've enjoyed it all. But if you do want to give me a follow, you can find me on Twitter, which I'm mostly on. I'm TV_Gooner, and as Anthony mentioned before, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Gooner Gossip TV, where I chat a lot about Arsenal, about football. So yeah, that's where you can find me. I do use Instagram a bit, but I'm not really, there. But I'm Gooner Gossip TV on that as well if you want to give me a follow.
Uh, I recently you recently posted an interview like was it yesterday or the day before? I can't remember who it was with, but yeah, yeah, go and check that out.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I did. I spoke to Tom Canton, I think it was yesterday, about Arsenal, about the league. It was good to chat with him. But thank you so much, Anthony. And to those that are watching, please do subscribe to your channel because you're doing an amazing job. And yeah, hit the like button for Anthony because he's doing great.
Thank you very much. So thank you for watching, everyone. If you would like to follow me on my social media, it's Anthony Talk One on everything. So if you want to go and follow me, then that's where you go. Obviously, if you would like to subscribe to me on YouTube, then obviously do so. If you like, if you if you would like to give this interview 5 stars on any audio platforms, please do so. And thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. Bye bye. Have a good day.